We're checking out the July 2026 Prehistoric Kingdom Dev Diary. Since the last Dev Diary, we've played the game on the channel. We did a large-scale Jurassic Park themed park build. It was very fun, very interesting. It was really cool to see a lot of these new features in action that had been revealed previously that I hadn't had a chance to play with. But we also saw where there were a few weak points of the game, a few weird quirks with AI, changing terrain, building paths and fences. There's a few little quirks with some of that stuff, particularly how all those things interact together, the terrain with the fences and paths that need improvement. And we know that these things are going to be worked on in the upcoming year or whatever. So, don't know if the diary will get into any of that stuff or it'll talk about other stuff. But that is why we do these blind, because that is fun for me. Alright, so welcome to the July Development Diary. A week ago we put out a survey to gather feedback to see how the community felt about various parts of the game. I don't think I ever saw that survey. To our surprise, we received a staggering 4,000 responses within the first 24 hours. You absolutely destroyed our measly target of 1K. Looking over the result, community sentiment for the core game seems to greatly align with our internal plans and the direction we're already heading in. I hope they're going to show the results of this for the more hypothetical questions, like what extra management features you'd like to see. The winners were also in line with what we expected, although it's clear you really want to see temperature come into play. Interesting. So I assume like an Ice Age animal will want the environment to be cold, and if it is like a jungle map, it'll have some sort of penalty, or maybe you can put in like AC units or something. I'm guessing that's what this is going into. Team will continue to collect your results to discuss how we can honor some of the most important parts of your feedback by full release. We may end up doing another survey after update 18, so stay tuned and thank you for your responses. Can we still do this? Is this survey still active? It is. All right. I've completed the survey. We're going to actually go through this at the end of the video because it ends up actually taking a lot longer than I was expecting originally. All right, state of development. A new patch is coming soon. Update 17.1 will bring a host of changes, bug fixes, and stability improvements to address various player-reported issues in relation to animal behavior. Needed, honestly. Disabled call staff buttons, and more. Okay, so this was a bug then. Because this is a thing I saw where, like, I can't call staff to this dinosaur. I guess it's fine. There's nothing to do with it. But maybe that's not true. So this is good. Yes. Cool. I like that this is being changed, and it feels like we get the autonomy of like trying to figure out whether or not an animal is sick. We've also added enclosure renaming and an outline that appears when an animal has been selected but not tracked by the camera. Okay. That seems good. These seem like great changes for the small patch. And yeah, we could see the outline there on this horse. You can't see it if I zoom in. Well, we won't just zoom in. It's big enough on screen anyway. To thank you for your amazing support surround Update 17, we're bringing even more partner animations to the game, with some of our favorites being a Velociraptor scuffle, a cat fight, and 2 extra headbutting duels for Pachycephalosaurus. Please look forward to the release of U17.1 in August. Cool. Yeah, these partner animations are fun. It's I really like that they have both dynamic combat and canned animations for certain things that are thematically appropriate. Dude, these are great. Wow. Fun. No, I like that stuff. I like especially that they're giving Pachycephalosaurus some extra love as like the stereotypical dueling dinosaur. It makes so much sense, right? These exist specifically for intraspecific combat, fighting with your own species, and like Pachycephalosaurus is kind of the emblematic dinosaur for that. Very cool. Update 18, in case you haven't been keeping up with our roadmap, U18 is going to be our last major update before PK leaves early access next year. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is update 18 is the last update within early access, and then 19 is launch, I think. 18 will be focused on adding the final gameplay pieces like security, engineers, and breakouts to challenge mode. Very cool. Since the team is focused on wrapping up update 17.1, we'll be discussing some of 18's other aspects until production on the next update begins properly. What? Since the team is currently focused on wrapping up, we'll be discussing some of U18's other aspects until this sentence is off. I think that like we'll hold back. We won't be discussing some of 18's aspects until production begins properly. Because this sounds like we're gonna talk about it, and then this part is like we're not gonna talk about it. Expanded management view. As a management game, there are a lot of things the player needs to be aware of and keep up with. To help with this and better support some new features, we'll be expanding the management view with extra overlay options, including some requested by you in the survey. For example, to help see how your animals are doing around the park, we'll be adding new views to check their needs and even keep track of where you place nests, which ones have been claimed, and which animals are pregnant. Good stuff. I definitely lost track of some of my nests playing challenge mode. Yeah, this looks good. This like overlay with like blue pop-ups for like the nests and red for like the animals that I guess can't breed, and then it's blue or white is got to be like occupied versus unoccupied nests. Concept art, so not in game yet, but that makes sense. Like, yeah. In addition to new management overlays, we'll be refreshing some of the current ones. For example, the navigable areas for animals, guests, and staff will be kept under one button instead of spread across 3 separate places. Makes sense. Click on a menu for the type of thing, and then the submenu for the specific categories within that type of thing. Cleans up the UI. This is kind of the same type of stuff I said in the survey at the end of the video now, I guess. But yeah, cool. Expanded nature requirements, with many animals coming to the game for specialized environments like deserts, plains, and wetlands. We found ourselves longing for more depth when it comes to nature requirements in challenge mode. Right now, the only factors you really need to consider is total foliage and water percentage of an enclosure. While simple, it does mean there's very little challenge to overcome designing your habitats. These factors also don't do a great job at describing an animal's true environment, leaving things very open-ended for players who aren't familiar with a given species. To expand upon this, Update 18 will introduce 4 nature types that must be balanced depending on the animals. These are forest, shrubs, plains, and barren. Okay. That sounds good to me. Mock-up, not final stats. Let's zoom in a little bit for my own benefit. Yeah, this is just like JWE's like forest, plains, barren, sandy requirements, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think one thing that I kind of was a little mixed on was how enclosures scale in PK. How if you need water and you make a big enclosure, then suddenly you need like a really big lake, which feels a little weird sometimes. It's mostly a consequence specifically of water. I feel like, I don't know, would it be weird if water scaled differently than plants? Plants scaled by exhibit, but water just scaled by like herd size? Because I like a small exhibit like this with a decent little lake in the middle feels fine. But then you scale this up to a large area and suddenly this lake is enormous, and I don't always like that. I don't know. Just a random thought. It's not like it's gonna ruin anything if it doesn't change, right? Nature coverage. As you paint textures and a different foliage, your nature coverage will be in a change. For example, basic enclosures consisting of grass will be 100% plains. If we had a couple of bushes, it's now 25% shrubs and 75% plains. Right. That's exactly how I would have expected it. If we had trees to an empty area, the plains value continues to decrease, and we instead gain forest. Yeah, that's expected. If we paint trees over our existing shrubs, these would too become forests. Think of it like a priority system where bigger foliage overrides whatever sits beneath. That makes sense. That is the detail. This is the detail that is relevant new information here. Because painting forest over top of shrubs, the shrubs don't go away. The brushes mix in this game, which is also fantastic. I hate the way the brushes don't mix in JWE because it ends up sometimes with some awkward borders. And like mixing foliage feels nice. The fact that every type of foliage you put in JWE has to be its own grove, right? You can't have like forest mixed with like cycads or something for your herbivores. Not without getting like really weird about like small placements. Like you can't just do it simply by sweeping the 2 brushes across each other. They'll just replace each other. This system is cool. The system existing currently with like the mixing foliage is cool. It makes sense for there to be like a priority system where like trees overrule shrubs and it's forest if you put the trees in. That makes sense. To make part of the enclosure barren, we want to remove any foliage in the area and use only a terrain paint such as dirt, sand, rock, or snow. Alternatively, we can create plains by painting grass textures or adding ferns, dandelions, or other grass-like plants on top of our barren terrain. Okay, so they're saying this is a barren corner, and they're saying this here is plains, actually, right? Yeah, 78% plains because this has been overruled. So that's cool because then you can still have a plains enclosure with a more barren base texture. That like that makes sense. With these new rules, we can deliver much of the guidance for what an ideal environment should look like. Grazing animals like the bison or lasmotherium would favor open plains, while Allosaurus might prefer a barren enclosure with a slight tolerance for shrubs and forests. I do hope I would like there to be a general sense of tolerance in the animal needs. Like, and there is, by the way. I'm not saying there isn't. But that is something that can be a little annoying, is if you need like very precise ranges for everything. And then it makes it like annoying sometimes to cohab. I don't think this is really a problem currently, but since they're redoing the system, I'm just stressing this point that like this could become a little bit fiddly, a little bit annoying. Water area. Unlike nature coverage, water... Oh my god, they're doing it. The thing I said is happening. Unlike nature coverage, water in 18 will only require a minimum area rather than being a percentage of the enclosure. Literally the thing I said. Oh, that is so... That's awesome. I love it. Okay, cool. Dude, they're like reading my mind. They keep doing the shit I want them to do. It's so good. Ensures that as you build bigger habitats, the minimum water requirement will not scale with it. That's genius. Fantastic. Maybe I only call it genius because it was my idea first. Fantastic. Aquascape. For semi-aquatic or wetland animals like baryonyx and Spinosaurus, they have one last requirement. Aquascape. To increase the aquascape, the player will need to paint aquatic plants such as lily pads, hyacinth, or eelgrass into bodies of water. Fantastic. Specific vegetation like mangroves or bald cypresses will also raise the aquascape of an enclosure as long as they're, you guessed it, placed in water. This change makes designing wetlands into a proper mechanic and gives us more of a reason to add things like underwater plants or other hydrophytes beyond the simple fact that they're pretty. I really like making wetlands like an emergent mechanic rather than just an environmental type. The fact that like you put an animal with a theoretical wetland need and it just means you need to make the water more appealing to it, as opposed to having wetland be separate from water and having the JWE problem of everything being a swamp. I really like this system. This is cool. We also have the wetland biome. To accompany some of the new wetland animals like baryonyx in U18. So I guess wetland is the theme of the last update then? This implies there's more than just baryonyx. We'll be expanding the biome's variety with over 40 new plants including updated and brand new foliage. With these changes, we'll be able to create some stunning swamps, forests, and underwater environments. Then we got some screenshots of very nice Spino in the swamp, some Tyrannosaurs, some Edmontosaurs, and a swimming Spino. Yeah, it looks cool. This shot especially, this underwater shot with all like the fucking plants, dude. Holy cow. If you got keen eyes, you might have noticed a brand new ground texture. This is because Update 18 will be replacing the wetland sand with a dedicated groundwater texture, making it super easy to create wet marshes or add a splash of water to an enclosure you might want. It's almost a little too fun to play with. Okay, cool. This is like a thing we have in JWE. Makes sense to have it here. Looks good. I don't think I have any notes. I wonder, so you see the spottiness of this? Do we think they made this spotty? Or is this naturally how it generates? Since it's PK, I feel like this is probably, you put down like a wide brush, and it generates this like inconsistent spotting, which looks much more natural. The groundwater brushes in JWE 3 do have a weird tendency to look very like plasticky or like very flat when you use them a lot. Like if you put out a very broad stretch of groundwater, it's just this like surface, this like cellophane spread across the ground. It doesn't have this like natural like look of breaking up unless you do it yourself. This is something I really like about the PK brushes is they're very good at making them look dynamically interesting without the player having to get in with a fine-toothed comb and like go through and fix all the little details. They just generate naturally the environment very well. So that I'm gonna assume, based on other brushes, that this is what you will get when you use the groundwater. You could this also like the brushes react very well to like changing the intensity, right? So this could also be like half intensity groundwater, and maybe if you do want full puddle, like max intensity will do that for you. But again, my point being, like this is good. Community survey reward. And thanks to your obliteration of our survey response goal, we're proud to unveil the first skin for everyone's favorite ground sloth, the mighty Megatherium. This particular species lived in the pampas of South America, dwelling in grasslands with occasional woodland nearby. When this animal arrives at full release, each skin will feature a different fur length, with this one being the shortest. Once again, thank you for your survey responses. I remember hearing something about possibly giant ground sloths being naked, which would make sense based on things like elephants and rhinos. It seems like we're not going to get a naked sloth, but the differing fur length kind of leans into that, so that's cool. Then we got the community spotlight, some art. Spinosaurid. I don't know if this is supposed to be a different take on Spinosaurus or based on like the baryonyx concept art or something. We got a Diplocaulus. We got some Cenozoics. Yeah, cool art. All right, that's the dev diary. Yeah, I'm about what I expected. Very excited to see the changes to the environmental stuff. That looks really cool. That'll be fun to play with. And like we kind of knew some of what was coming in the next update with like security and breakouts, but it's nice to get a little bit more of a look at that. And 17.1 seems like a really nice update to fix up some of the rougher edges of update 17. So yeah, that all looks very great. Very happy with what I'm seeing from all of that. All right, I think we can wrap this up here. The survey makes this a long one, but I think it was good. All right, I am at 60 hours. Boom, over 50 plus hours. I'm shocked. I mean, I'm not shocked, I guess, given typical gameplay time, but like with a park builder like this, we've done what, 4 parks only? Like, I'm kind of surprised that this doesn't go any higher than over 50 hours. Which game mode do you play the most? Obviously, challenge mode. Come on now. What type of gameplay do you engage with? I mean, definitely management. After the last update, have you played challenge mode? Yes. If you haven't, what would make you try challenge mode? Come on now. How would you say Prehistoric Kingdom PK Kingdom Prehistoric Kingdom compares to other games in the genre? Ooh. Now I think this is a little rough. This is ambiguous. Do we mean dinosaur park builders or do we mean park builders in general? Because park builders in general, I don't fucking know. Dinosaur park builders. I think I'm gonna go it's as good because it doesn't have like security gameplay. There's like little pieces missing still since it's early access. Like, but it's on track to be better, right? Yeah. Let's not glaze the devs unnecessarily. Also, strategically speaking, there's an argument in a survey like this to downplay your enthusiasm to encourage the devs to do better. Now, I'm not saying you say like, "Oh, the game is dog shit." We're not gonna nag them into doing better, but we'll be like, "It's good," and then we can drive them to be even better. If there was something you could add to the gameplay of Prehistoric Kingdom, what would it be? Ooh, what do I want? This is that's a hard one for me. I haven't thought about this, so then I can deliberate for a while over what to put in. Um, what gameplay element do I think would be particularly interesting. You know what? We're gonna skip this because I'm gonna sit here for like 5 minutes thinking of something. We're just not gonna put anything. It's fine. Um, they're generally speaking doing what I want them to anyway. How would I rate the FPS performance on my computer? I feel like the FPS has been pretty good. I think there might be some slowdowns, but I'm not one of those like the game has to be 60 FPS players. So I feel like if the FPS was chugging a little bit, I'd be less likely to notice it. I'm gonna put a 7 with like very little actual, statistics to back that 7. Stability, we did have a crash. A 10 is never crashes. This is like how do you break like never crashes, always crashes up into like 10 steps? That seems like a lot. I'm gonna call it an 8, I guess. How often do you encounter bugs related to these areas? Okay, so this is definitely a big question mark I had playing was like, was some of the stuff we were seeing with animals a bug or not? And this was something I was unclear about. So, animal bugs feel more prominent. Like there's them swimming in the water, which is apparently not so much a bug as it is a mistake in the like AI, right? Which is, I mean, the definition of a bug is also a mistake, but like it's an understood issue that just needs to be corrected as opposed to a accidental emergent behavior from the code, right? Um, Staff is another one where I feel like I don't know if these staff are bugging out or if I'm just misunderstanding some stuff, but I've seen a lot of idle staff when it felt like they shouldn't be idle because there's a lot of stuff to do in the park. But this might be because I made my park too big, which I think was really part of the problem. I think the game is not exactly set up well for building a safari as much as it is set up to build a proper zoo. And I tried to build Jurassic Park, which is very much like a safari. Guests, did I see anything with guest bugs? I don't really think I noticed any bugs with guests, so I'm going to say never. Modular building I haven't engaged with. Terraforming is why we crashed. And I think we've seen some weird, like, terrain artifacts pop up with this. I'm going to put sometimes. User interface, I don't think has caused me any grief. I know this is off the screen, sorry, but yeah, it's I'm not going to adjust the video specifically for this survey. Animals, guest, staff, modular building, terraforming, user interface are the 6 things here. If there's a bug you frequently encounter, please describe it below. That's fine. I'm going to not say something. Okay, we got 5 pages of this. Whoa, okay. I wasn't expecting this survey to be that extensive, but that's fine. How would you rate your experience in challenge mode? I'm going to call it a 9. Why do you feel that way about challenge mode? I am a challenge mode enthusiast, and the economy. I can spell. I swear I can spell. What did I miss? The H enthusiast and the economy felt better than a certain other dinosaur game. How do you feel about using the management view? We use this a few times. Yeah, I'm going to say I like it. How do you feel about aspects of logistics management? I think this is fine. I think ordering is good. Storage systems, I found a little eh. The warehousing system, I think it makes sense. I don't know if that need, like, I think fine is the correct statement. I don't feel good about, like, slapping down warehouses, because it feels like a little bit like busy work. The ordering, you know what, I'm going to say the ordering is fine, too, honestly. I like the ordering system, but it feels a little inconsequential, because it feels like I never had to make a hard choice when I was doing it in the game, right? I just like, okay, these things are low, order them. There was never like a situation where it's like, oh no, I can't afford both meat and plants this month. I got to make a hard call. That like never happened. Do you know you can build multiple loading bays? Actually, no. I did not know that. Did you know that your storage modules will automatically sort themselves based on surrounding facilities? E.g., a storage shop near a gift shop will require more merchandise than meals. Fuck no, I didn't know that. What? That's sick. That's cool. When dealing with diseases, did you know that you can minimize risk by creating animals with high immunity and add supplements to their feeder? I know the supplements. I'm not sure if this is a specific thing or just like genome percentage or something. I don't know how that works. Can you clone with reduced genome percentage? We'll call it yes. If this was something in the research tree that I didn't do, then like that's fine too, right? How do I feel about aspects of staff management? Hiring is fine. Staff promotions, hiring is good. Sorry, hiring works exactly the way it should, I think. Staff promotions are fine. I think because staff promotions are a little like set it and forget it. You just like tick up the stars whenever you hire a new person if you want to trade them up. It's a little, again, like them defaulting to not training and then you just having to like turn it on for everybody is kind of weird. Staff break rooms are good. I like the staff break room system. It makes sense. Work zones, I think are conceptually fine, but I'm just a little confused with them and haven't figured out how to use them optimally yet. Which, to be fair, I tried to use them in a very like broad strokes kind of way, and then I just said, "Nah, we're not going to do that." Um. So yeah, we'll just leave it here as a fine. Like I could see the benefit of these. I'm interested in trying to make them work with more eventually. It was like one bridge too far that didn't feel like it was helping currently with the way I was doing it. How do you feel about these aspects of staff performance? Welfare, maintaining happiness, response time, how quickly they accept or get to a job, idle time, how much time they spent doing nothing, work completion, are staff solving the problems you expect them to solve? Okay, I'm gonna put bad for staff idle time. That is just my experience. Response time, I'm gonna put fine. Some of it was really sluggish, but that is like a consequence of the big park. Work completion. Hmm. I mean, I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do good, fine, bad, bad. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't complete in that park, and the staff seemed to be idle, and I don't know why that conjunction was like that. I don't know if that was a bug or if I had just made my park too big for it to work properly, but we're doing that. How intuitive would I say the UI and PK is? I'm giving them a 6 out of 10. The UI is a lot. It kind of has to be a lot with some of the systems they have, but I'm not going to say the UI is fantastic. I think there's a lot of different places to look for things. Like I think I could say that the UI is not intuitive. Not particularly intuitive. Honestly, I'm gonna put it down to a 5. And I want to stress the intuitiveness of the UI. Like RimWorld is one of my favorite games, and that's not terribly intuitive either. Like this is the UI doesn't necessarily need to be intuitive, especially if a game is complex. So, what do you think is the weakest or most confusing area in the UI? Maybe this is where I should like qualify my statement. I don't necessarily think the UI needs to be perfectly intuitive. No, actually, let's not waffle like that. Um, legitimately, I think one of the weakest and confusing areas in the UI is like switching between the what is it, like the Paleopedia? Yeah, like bringing up the Paleopedia to look at information and like hatching animals in the hatchery. These feel like they could be overlapped, right? Like it feels like a lot of the Paleopedia information should be more readily like immediately accessible from where you're synthesizing like new animals. This did continue to like trip me up where I would be uh where it would take me a second to like get back to the Paleopedia properly. And there's like something else that trips me up about that too, like visually. Hard to describe. How easy is it to find these items in the building menu? The building menu did give me grief. Because like what I ended up doing a lot is just searching for the things I already knew as opposed to looking through the menu. So I circumvented using the menu and instead went with just searching for the thing, which feels like something I have to do because the menus aren't as clear cut as they ought to be. I think fences are fine. Vivariums are fine. Feeders are fine. These are fine. It's the guest build facilities that I feel like are a little unclear. Like because like oh man, I'm trying to think back to my gameplay because like I struggled sometimes to figure out where like yeah to just like open up a thing and find like my staff buildings and like guest facilities. I think um I don't think any of this was particularly good, so I'm gonna put fine and then bad. Again, I consider this a relatively minor problem. How would you reorganize the building menu to better suit your needs? How do you wish you could access something quicker? Ooh, man, these like optional like explain yourself things I'm so bad with. Um, how would I reorganize the building menu to better suit your needs? Man, I don't know, man. I'd have to think about it. We're doing this quick. How do you feel about these parts of the modular building experience? I have not gotten into this. I feel like the variety of pieces is good. I'm gonna put fine with these two. Just as kind of like a don't know. What is your least favorite part of modular building? What's your dream feature for modular building? Ooh, I I can't answer these. I know that's a recurring theme, but I can't do it. When you replace item, do you prefer the building toolbox to be hidden, A, or visible at all times? I wish there was a don't care. I honestly have no opinion on this. Frequently used prehabs in building. That's the next one. I gotta pick something. Hidden is cleaner, I guess. I don't know. When placing a module by itself, e.g. feeder, toilet, or kiosk, would you like to see related prefabs at the bottom of the screen? Yes. Yes. 100%. I think this is a really good idea. Because this would also allow you to make like to like have the build menu be tightened up. This would be like JWE, right? Where you click I want a bathroom, you click on the bathroom, and then you look through the options. Right now the build menu is cluttered with multiple options for the same things. I think that's a problem. Yeah. Hold on. Too much clutter with redundant buildings. Uh, Submenus. Placing a module. Yeah. How frequently do you hover over buttons or panels and read their tooltip? frequently, I feel like frequently for what you expect. I was definitely, oh man, was I reading this stuff? I think so. Sometimes, frequently. I'm gonna put frequently because I think it's important to have this. So even if I wasn't doing it, it's because it was clear to me from like experience. The proof descriptive information was integrated into the UI rather than behind a tooltip. Would you prefer if descriptive information was integrated into the UI rather than behind a tooltip? I think no. This is busy. There's a lot of words on this screen, and a lot of these maybe don't need to be here. But this is a whole paragraph. I think it would be better if you get this behind a tooltip. I'm on team tooltip, I think. Would it be helpful to see a tooltip when hovering over a built structure in the park? E.g. when hovering, you see how much stock of feeder has remaining. I think so. Yeah, clicking on a thing which like drags the camera into it is not ideal. Apart from a guided tutorial, which style of help would be more clear when learning about a game mechanic? Option A or B. Slideshow explanation or help article. I think the slideshows are sometimes pretty good because it's like you do this, you do this, you do this, or breaks it down into bite-sized steps you can think about. I think I'm on team slideshow from like a game design standpoint. Would you like to see items for animals, guests, and park infrastructure split into their own buttons? I think so. I think I would like to see those as their own buttons. Do you ever wish the UI, this is again off the screen, but I'm not going to adjust it. Do you ever wish the UI in PK was closer to other games in the genre? No and other are the options. I think a lot of people are going to say yes. They would prefer the UI be like other games that they've played. And I think that's unfair. That's weird to me. I'm just going to say no. I'm not going to explain myself. How long would you expect a story campaign for new players to last in PK? Over. I mean, I would hope the story campaign's over 6 hours for new players. That I think if it's like 3 to 6, that's just an extended park build. That's not a story. Like, it has to be longer than that. Come on. The power management system has been disabled for a long time. How interested would you be in having it revamped, brought back to challenge mode? I don't mind power as a mechanic. Again, I'm JWE brain, so I'm like used to power being a thing. Right now, the big like problem with a sprawling park is not like power management, it's staff management. So power management also being a thing would be a little bit like that. I'm gonna put a 3. I'm okay with it, but maybe we don't need it. How interested would you be in a marketing mechanic to increase guest flow in challenge mode? I think okay, marketing would fit in with like the delivery system of these like do the things, but I don't like it. I don't like this is one of those things that fucks with me because I'm like, how often should I be marketing? I have no idea. Like this could be very lackluster and annoying. I think I'm gonna put 2. How interested would you be in a trash bin mechanic for guests in challenge mode? Hire janitors and keep paths clean. I like this because this is JPOG stuff. This is a 4 for me. I think that's fun. Also, it makes sense, right? Like a dirty park versus a clean park. That is like a real thing you have to deal with. How interested would you be in weather temperature mechanic and challenge mode? E.g., a mammoth would need shelter to survive on hot maps or during a heat wave. I'm gonna put a 4. I like we already know this was like a winning thing from the survey. Um, but I do think it's a pretty cool idea. It's immersive. You know what? Put a 5. No, that's good. How interested would you be in animals destroying modular walls or the pieces when trying to escape their enclosure in challenge mode? Damaged or destroyed pieces would be repairable by staff. Uh, yeah, they should damage pieces, right? Like, part of the problem with JWE is that, like, animals can't destroy modular pieces and you can just cheese the enclosures. I think fundamentally, if animals' escapes are going to be a threat, they need to be able to destroy modular walls. How interested would you be in playing an ecosystem game mode? 4 out of 5. I'm not a huge ecosystem person, but I would love the option. If so, what would you like to see in an ecosystem game mode? Ooh, I mean, it's just realistic animal AI. Let's call it realistic animal behavior. That's very, like, loose and not useful, but that's what I'm gonna put down. All right, next page. If Prehistoric Kingdom were to receive DLC post-launch, which of these packs seem most appealing to you? 4 species in a vivarium. I like that they're actually just, like, price points and stuff are in here. This is cool. I do not want this game to have DLC. No, I honestly, listen. In the current gaming ecosystem, DLC is like a necessary evil, right? Because you can either have a complete game that doesn't get anything more and that's it, or you can pay for content. Like free post-launch content updates as like the only method of improving a game are fucking dead. Right? The best you can hope for is the JWE strategy of like, here's a free update that launches alongside DLC. I'm fine with paying for DLC if it feels worth it. So we get a 4-to-1 ratio or a 5-to-2 ratio. So let's think about this price point here, right? If we're paying $2 for a full species, that's 8 and then 10. And then the vivariums are like gravy, right? That's not how it does work, but like whatever. So objectively, you get more value from the 7 animal pack, right? Because if you're just assigning a rough $2 price point to a per full species, you're just getting an extra animal for $2 extra, which is like on par. I'm gonna pick the 7. I'm happy with big DLC packs. I'm fine with that. Also, I'm sure that they're not gonna be cramming out like 6 DLCs a year in this game. There's like no shot for that, right? I guess the other consideration, the thing missing here, is the release schedule. I would rather have 5 animals. I would rather the DLCs be split up and like come out more often than have a big one that launches less often. So maybe I'll do the smaller one. Compared to other games in the genre, how does PK's seamless growth ontogeny change your perceived monetary values of the animals? Oh, they are worth more than other games. This is honestly the selling point. The animals are the selling point of this game over any other dinosaur game. And the thing that most sells the animals, like there's other great things about the animals, but the growth cycle stuff is so good. It is incredible. It is so satisfying to watch an animal grow up in this game. It is so good. I hate the juveniles in JW3. I'm just going to say it. Because they're nothing. They're just like little guys. Like, they can be fine, but I hate them because they're not this, right? It's very much a case of like PK setting the standard for me. And then we get the JW3 juveniles, and they're just a single growth stage. And it's like, really? This? When the standard is PK in my mind? Like, yeah. It definitely damages my perception of JWE. Because it's so good. On occasion, would you like to see alternate species included in DLC as a bonus? They would not increase the DLC price and would be based on an animal in their respective pack. E.g., an Asia pack may add Huangosaurus with 2 skins and include a bonus Gigant Spinosaurus. Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's what we're doing right now. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, I think a reskinned animal I like what they do. I like the multiple species in the same genus that they do. I think it's interesting, and I think it's especially interesting when you take an animal and you just peel off one of the skin variants and just make it a reskinned species with some small like morphological differences. I think that's fine. It increases diversity in a way that doesn't feel cheap because it doesn't feel like they're reselling a reskinned animal. They're just making a proper little variant on the side. How would you feel if DLC packs included animal signage but no other scenery pieces? I would be okay with that. I think I would still probably like scenery DLC, maybe, but that's okay. All right. That's the survey. That was a lot to go through.